In the name of Allah, the most beneficent, the merciful. The title of the module is Human Learning, the Perspective and Dynamics. This is Dr. Abid, the course guide. Before I proceed, I would like to give an idea of what the module will include. The first module has 4 sessions or 4 parts, which are the power of perspectives, human perception and learning. The third is the learning dynamics. And finally, we'll talk about skills and tools of learning. Ladies and gentlemen, before I proceed any further, I would like to give you an idea of myself and what I stand for. I am PhD in education from International Islamic University, Malaysia, where I had carried out research on the educational perspectives as per the philosophy of the famous Islamic philosopher, poet Allama Muhammad Iqbal. For the last around 25 years, I have been actively engaged in finding out the principles of learning or education, because when my children were growing up, I got the feeling that our education system was not capable enough to develop the personalities that the Ummah requires. Before my PhD, I had done my MBA in finance and human resource management, and that was a beautiful experience where I learned a lot about the running of the contemporary systems. And over it all, actually, I am basically a sailor. I have sailed on ships for 40 years, around 20 years as captain of the ship. And my life at sea gave me a lot of opportunity to contemplate on my own questions about life and education. So here I am, Dr. Muhammad Abid Ali, having an opportunity to present you with what I feel should be the correct perspective of education from the Quranic perspective. One thing that we have to realize, that perspective is probably the strongest aspect of human cognitive acceptance, the rationale behind what you are doing. And the clearer the perspective, the better the understanding. Vagueness leads to confusion and indifference. If your perspective is not clear, you don't have a strong rationale. And if you don't have a strong rationale, it will only lead to your going into confusion and having indifference of what you are doing or what you are pursuing. Perspective is like explaining our own roots of understanding and action. If there is no rationale, believe me, there is no learning, because we don't take things seriously. Practically, learning is when you internalize knowledge and it results in modification to your past state of understanding and action. That's very important, because if there is no internalization, basically you may be receiving information, but the learning is always followed by modification in your perceptual framework, which reflects in your actions as well. Inshallah, we'll talk about it in details later. The learning can be positive and it can be negative. So if you remember, that is how Shaitan misguided our father Hazrat Adam alayhi salam by giving a rationale to what he was asking Hazrat Adam to do. What do you think? Positioning is a very important aspect of how you think, how you see things. Here, whom you think is right, or you will say the both are correct. Why? Because of their positioning. One sees a figure of 9 and the other figure of 6. So it's basically your perspectives, your perceptual framework positions you or gives you a dimension from which you look and analyze things. The objective of the first session is putting ourselves in the correct perspective. That's very, very important, or the basic thing. We'll also discuss the effect of perspectives. Another interesting thing will be the status of nature. And then in this session, finally, we'll discuss the Deen and Dunya paradox. But I assure you, inshallah, that you will find new things and interesting things for you to ingest.